Welcome to No Codable, the YouTube channel where I share tips, tricks, and information on how to build production-ready and enterprise applications and business automations by leveraging nothing but no-code and low-code platforms. So in this video, I want to quickly discuss pagination and how I prefer to implement it in applications built using Bubble. So I've seen other videos and tutorials that leverage a repeating group to show page numbers, but there are a few things I don't like about that method. So what I'd like to do is show you a different way to also do pagination. My method involves taking a similar approach to Google and others that display forward and back icons to allow users to navigate to the desired page of results. So let's dive right in. So first, to really define pagination and explain what we're referring to, if we had a list of things in our database that was pretty large, we obviously wouldn't want to show them all at once. We want to show a group of them to improve things like load time of the page. So for instance, if our list of things had 100 items, maybe we show 20 at a time, and then we navigate to each page of 20 items individually. And so you can see how YouTube here actually implements pagination. Now, obviously there are only 5 items on this page, but if there were more, you would be able to navigate to the next page by using this icon, to the previous page by using this icon, to the last page, the first page. So this is what I want to implement in my application. So if I go over to our little sample application, you can see here I've just got a list of some things. There's a name and a description, and I'm displaying 5 at a time. So let's go into our Bubble editor. And here is that actual repeating group. So you can see it's just a test thing. I'm showing the source is obviously just doing a search for the things. And this is how we start implementing pagination. The first thing we want to do is set our number of rows that we want to display. So what this is going to show is the number of things we want to display in the repeating group on each page. So I've got mine set to 5 just for demonstration purposes, because my test thing data type only has 12 items, so I want to be able to demonstrate the pagination. So that's the first thing. The first thing is to create this repeating group. The second thing I'm going to do is create another group and place it under the actual repeating group. So I'll go over here, simply grab a group, place it in here. I'm going to do some styling, obviously, like I like to always do. I'm going to change this, and I'll call this group pagination. Layout is going to be a row because I'm going to obviously have things laid out horizontally here. Let's see. We'll do space between. For alignment purposes, I'm going to put it on the right side of the parent group, so it will be underneath my repeating group on the right-hand side. Let's see. I don't want it to be a fixed width at all. I want it to be able to expand with items. I will set it to probably a minimum of, let's say, 200 pixels. We'll start there. I am going to fit width to content. And then we'll go ahead and make it a fixed height. And let's try, we'll start with 50 pixels. We'll do something like that. That should give us enough to start with. And we might change some of these things. So for this demonstration, I have installed a plugin. It's this Google Material Icons plugin. Those are the icons I'm going to use for my pagination. So if I go back and I look over here in my elements tree, you can see that I've got material icon. So I'm going to select that, click in my pagination group, and first thing I'm going to do is look for the icon I want. So I just click here, and I think it's just called last. Yeah, so we'll do that. We're obviously going to put some styling around this as well. So this will be, need to set this to 99. We're going to align it, let's see, vertically in the center. And we'll do something like 25 by 25 for this, for this element. So that looks good. Let's see. For the color, I'm actually just going to do like a gray. So let's do like A3, maybe a little darker. Yeah, so that'll be fine. So we'll start with that. Cool. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste. So if, Command C, click in the group, Command V. All right, so this one, I want to be just a chevron, right? I think is what it's called. Yeah, so let's put that. All right, and then I'm going to Command V again. Let's see. This one is going to be chevron left. And I'm actually going to, again, make this previous. And then one more paste in here. And this will be first. Oops. All right, and I'll make this first in my layout. Okay, so let's preview that and see what that looks like. All right, so that looks good already. So we'll go back to the bubble editor. And so obviously we need to apply some actions to this, to each of these icons. So I'm going to right click here and start edit workflow. So I know when this button is clicked, there are actions on repeating groups that allow you to go to a page. So I know obviously for this one, I want to go to page 1 because this is my first page element. Okay. Terrific. Let's see on this one, I know this one's always going to be my last page, right? So let's start and edit this workflow. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to again say element actions under repeating group, go to page. And this is going to be a little calculation we've got to do. So we've got to take, let's see, if we do like a search for test things, right? We don't really care, and we're going to do a count. And then we're going to divide that by 5 because that's how many rows we're showing in the repeating group. Let's see, count. Oops, keep messing up. Count. And then divided by. Hey, well, I want to. Sorry, there's the more. Let's see, divided by. Then we'll do 5. But then we're also going to go to ceiling, which is essentially going to round up, right? So unlike the last page, if there's a remainder, you want to always round up to say, to give you the last page. So we're going to do search for the things, count, divided by 5, and then we'll do ceiling. So let's see what we've got already. So let's go back to our demo app. So obviously, this is our first page, so it's not going to really show any change, but let's see if I click this one. There you go. So you can see it's gone to the last page and it showed the last 2 items. If I click this, it goes back to the first page. So we've got our pagination working. What I actually want to do, though, I'm going to use custom states to set a couple of things, right? So if I go back to my design and just click, somewhere on my page here, let me actually click on the elements tree, and I'm going to do page index. If I go to my information, I've got a couple of things set up. The first thing I'm going to have is a current things page number. So I'm setting up 2 custom states, and then I've also got a total things page, right? And so those are both numbers. So I've got 2 custom states set up on this page. And so the way I'm going to do this is in workflow, when the page is loaded, I'm going to set the state of my total things page to that calculation that I just referenced, right? So the search for the total things, the count divided by 5, and then round up using the ceiling. And then I'm also going to, by default, set the current thing page to 1. All right, so I'm setting a page of the repeating group, first page of the repeating group to 1, obviously, and then I'm essentially calculating how many total pages we have, right? So I'm going to change a few things. So instead of doing this calculation again and performing another search, I'm actually going to just use that custom state that we've set up. So again, if I do index and do total things pages, this should give me the same effect. And then for this workflow for basically the previous button, what we're going to do there is, again, element actions. We're going to do go to page. And then this is going to be, again, if I go to index and the current things page, so it's essentially the current page of the repeating group, right? And then this is simple as saying -1, all right? Then the next thing I actually have to do is set the value of the page again in the repeating group. So I'm going to do element actions, set state. This is going to be the current thing page, and it's going to be, the value is index current thing page, again, -1. And then similarly, for the next button, right, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to add one to the current thing page. So this is going to be, first thing we're going to do is element actions, repeating group, go to page, index current thing page +1. I'm actually going to copy this expression to make it a little bit easier. And then I'm going to go to element actions, set state, index current thing page. I'm going to paste that expression, so I'm setting the page. So let's see how we're doing now. All right, so we're here. All right, we got page 2. We go to the last page. So let's see. I know what we did. So a couple things. So what I didn't do on this page, on the last or previous, is I didn't set the state of the current page. So let's go back in. And so let's see, that is on first page, right? I need to also, again, set the state of current thing page to 1. And then on last page, I need to set state of current thing page. And for this, we don't have to do that calculation. We can just do total things pages. So if there's 3 pages, we're going to go to page 3. So we set the page to page 3. So now let's try it and see what we've got. All right, so see page 2, back to page 1, went to the last page, went to page 2, went to the first page, went to page 2. So all my buttons seem to be working now. So terrific. Okay, now the only other thing I want to do is show a text in here of what page we're currently on, as well as how many total pages there are, right? So again, this is actually a pretty easy thing to do. I'm just going to take a text element, I'm going to drop it in my group here. First thing I'm going to do is make it my first group. I'm going to change the appearance to, I'll probably do small. That should be fine. Go back to the layout here. I want this to be vertically aligned. I don't want this to be fixed width. I just want it to fit the width of the content. Let's see. Probably do this just 25, the same height as the icons. And then let's see. In here, I just want this to say page 1 of 3. We'll just use this as an example so we can see what our styling looks like. I'm actually going to remove my style here and do a few more things. So, well, actually, let me go to layout. I don't want this to be fixed height. I want this to be make it sure it's the height of my height of my text. Let's see, why did that not? Oops, there we go. So not fixed height, and so that way it'll be the height of my text, so it'll all be aligned. I do want to change, again, the color, so let's go back and see what color I used here. So we'll make this color. So go to my page, change the color to be the same as the icons, and I am going to actually give this just a touch of spacing. Well, let's leave it alone and just see what it looks like for now. Okay, so that looks all right. I'm probably gonna, let's see if bold makes that look a little bit better. Yeah, I think that looks a little bit better there. Let's see. I want to do a couple of things, obviously. I want these to be dynamic values. So instead of saying page 1, this needs to be the current page we're on, right? So we're going to insert that state of a current thing page. And instead of just having a static number here, this is going to be, again, our state of our total thing pages. All right, so now let's see what we've got. Yep, so page 1 of 3, page 2 of 3, page 3 of 3. Page 1 of 3, page 2 of 3. Perfect, so all that's working great. Now, I do want to add a little bit of styling and do a couple more things here. Just I guess because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So let's go into this. I'm going to add a little bit of padding to this on both sides and do that for all of them. Let's see, 5, 5, 5, 5, and for this one, just need 5. Okay. Also, I want these to be a little bit of a different color and disable them. For instance, if these two, if we're on the last page. So I'm going to go into conditional. I'm going to say when, let's see, when the current page is equal to the max page or total thing pages, right? First thing I want to do is say this element isn't clickable. And I also want to change the color just a touch, right? So it gives it that appearance of being disabled. So I'm going to copy this. I'm also going to copy this expression because I'm going to do the same thing on this one. So I'm going to paste that expression. This element isn't clickable, click that, and then say icon color. Let's see, and what was our icon color? BF, BF, BF. So this is, okay. And I'm going to do the same, basically the same thing for these, except it'll be when they're the first page I want to disable them. So again, I'm going to go in here and copy the expression or paste the expression, but instead it's just going to be when the current things page index is 1, right? So when it's the first page. Then we're going to say this element isn't clickable, and we're going to change the color to BF, BF, BF. Let's see, and same thing for this one. So let's go here, paste the expression, element isn't clickable, and the icon color is BF, BF, BF. All right, let's see what we've got. So nice. So you can see right away that these first two are not clickable, right? Because obviously we're on the first page, so we don't need to go to the first, and we can't go to a previous page. But if I click next, you can see that now they're clickable and the color's changed. If I go to the last page, these two items are disabled, right? Because we can't move forward essentially, but we can move back. So there you go. I mean, the things are working really well. Our pagination is working. Um, and things are functioning like I would like. Now, again, you could do a little more styling around these things, make it look a little bit better. But the important things to remember, there's a few things. Obviously, again, on your page index, using these custom states are a very important thing, right? The way we set them is when the page is loaded, and the formulas to set them, especially for essentially your total pages, would be to get a count of all your things, right, in that data type, divide it by the number of rows you have in your repeating group, and then get the ceiling of that. So basically round up, and that will give you your total number of pages for the repeating group. So that's it. So we're gonna end this video here. Again, you can do some more styling if you'd like. And in the next video, what I'm going to do is implement a few more features, like the ability to have a drop down to go to a specific page I want. And then we'll also figure out how we could potentially do things like changing the number of rows in our repeating group. Because currently in repeating groups, if we look at the appearance, there's no way to set a dynamic value. We have to select it from this drop down. We could enter a custom number in, but we can't do like an expression or any sort of dynamic value here. So we'll also look at how we could potentially change the number of items in our row and how that affects pagination as well. But that's going to do it for here. I hope you found this video helpful. Again, just as a reminder, in 2022, I'm planning on publishing a lot more content like this to the channel. So if you did find this helpful, I ask that you like the video, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And then obviously, if you do find this video content as well, if you wouldn't mind sharing it with others and let them know about the channel, especially if you think they could benefit from them. But again, thanks so much for watching the video. Be on the lookout for more content to come out in the near future. And just remember that nothing is impossible, even with no code. So thanks so much, and happy no coding.